ପିଲାମାନେ ଆଜି ଆମେ ଏହି ଭିଡ଼ିଓରେ ଡାଫୋଡିଲ୍ସର କିଛି ବସ୍ତୁନିଷ୍ଠ ପ୍ରଶ୍ନ ଉତ୍ତର ଗୁଡ଼ିକୁ ଆଲୋଚନା କରିବା। ୱିଲିୟମ୍ ୱାର୍ଡସୱର୍ଥ ଇଜ୍ ଏ ପୋଏଟ୍ ଅଫ୍ ଡ୍ୟାସ୍ କଣ୍ଟ୍ରି, ରୋମାନ୍ସ, ନେଚର, ସଲିଚ୍ୟୁଡ୍। ଉତ୍ତର ହେବ ନେଚର। ୱିଲିୟମ୍ ୱାର୍ଡସୱର୍ଥ ୱାଜ୍ ଏ or an ଡ୍ୟାସ୍ ପୋଏଟ୍, ଆଇରିଶ, ସ୍କଟିଶ, ଇଂଲିଶ, ୱେଲ୍ସ। ଉତ୍ତର ହେବ ଇଂଲିଶ। Wordsworth was honored as Dash, a romantic poet, a poet of nature, common people's poet, England's poet laureate. Uttara heba England's poet laureate. What does the opening line of the poem Daffodils suggest? The poet was wandering aimlessly. The poet was searching for the daffodils. The poet was like a cloud. The clouds over the hill were lonely. Uttara heba The poet was wandering aimlessly. What did the poet see? A lot of clouds, a lonely cloud over the hill, a host of golden daffodils, both B and C. Uttara heba a host of golden daffodils. Where did the poet see the daffodils? Beside the lake, near the tree, in a big field, on top of the lonely hill. Uttara heba beside the lake. What were the daffodils doing? Dancing and singing with the breeze, fluttering and dancing in the breeze, shining with a happy glaze, dancing in the water of the lake. Uttara heba fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Where were the daffodils? Beneath the trees, on top of the hill, over the vales, near the stream. Uttara heba beneath the trees. Question number 9. Whom does the poet compare the daffodils with? Stars, trees, clouds, lake. Uttara heba stars. Where do the stars shine? On the sky, on the Milky Way, in the water of the lake, on top of the daffodils. Uttara heba on the Milky Way. What similarity does the poet see between the daffodils and the stars? Their unusual number, their long continuous stretch, their shine and beauty, their appearance in the dark. Uttara heba their long continuous stretch. Where were the daffodils stretched in a never-ending line? On the foot of a hill, under the bright starry sky, on the margin of a way, beneath the trees over the hill. Uttara heba on the margin of a way. How many daffodils did the poet say he saw at a glance? Thousands, hundreds, 10,000, lakhs. Uttara heba 10,000. The statement 10,000 saw I at a glance is a dash, simile, metaphor, parable, hyperbole. Uttara heba hyperbole. Which of the following is a simile? For oft when on my couch I lie, the waves beside them danced, continuous as the stars that shine, they stretched in a never-ending line. Uttara heba continuous as the stars that shine. Who else danced with the daffodils? The trees, the stars, the waves, the poet. Uttara heba the waves. How does the poet describe the dance of the daffodils? Lively, attractive, elegant, enchanting. Uttara heba lively. Who outdid the sparkling waves in glee? The stars, the daffodils, the breeze, the clouds. Uttara heba the daffodils. Who is or are a merry company? The daffodils, the stars, the clouds, the poet. Uttara heba the daffodils. A poet could not but be gay means dash. A poet cannot help dancing. A poet cannot help being happy. A poet cannot be alone. A poet cannot help being mesmerized. Uttara heba A poet cannot help being happy. What did Wordsworth do? Kept on gazing the daffodils, kept on dancing with the daffodils, kept on wandering along the daffodils, kept on singing with the daffodils. Uttara ହେବ kept on gazing the daffodils. What did Wordsworth not know while gazing at the dancing daffodils? What peace the sight had brought to him, what wealth the sight had brought to him, what solitude the sight had brought to him, what inspiration the sight had brought to him. Uttara ହେବ what wealth the sight had brought to him. What does the poet mean by wealth when he says, what wealth the soul to me had brought? Motivation, great scenery and pleasure, happiness and joyous memory, pleasure of solitude. Uttara ହେବ happiness and joyous memory. What are the two different modes of the poet? Blissful and pensive, loneliness and pensive, seclusion and blissful, pensive and aimless. Uttara ହେବ blissful and pensive. When does the poet remember the sight of the dancing daffodils? When lying in a happy mood, when in vacant or pensive mood, when in happy mood, when alone in a happy mood. Uttara ହେବ when in vacant or pensive mood. What happens when the poet lies on his couch in a vacant or pensive mood? He writes poem on the daffodils. The memory of the daffodils flashes upon his inward eye. He sees the daffodils growing in number in his inward eye. He gets lost in his thoughts. Uttara ହେବ the memory of the daffodils flashes upon his inward eye. Question number 27. What are the two modes of the poet when he remembers the daffodils? Vacant and pensive, happy and plaintive, solitude and company, all of the above. Uttara ହେବ vacant and pensive. What does the memory of the daffodils do to the poet? Takes him to a jocund company, fills his heart with pleasure, drags him out of his solitude, helps him overcome his sorrow. Uttara ହେବ fills his heart with pleasure. Who dances with the daffodils? The poet, the stars, the clouds, the poet's heart. Uttara ହେବ the poet's heart. What is the bliss of solitude? The joyous memory of the daffodils, being in the company of the daffodils, being lonely, being in a pensive mood. Uttara ହେବ the joyous memory of the daffodils. The word bliss means dash, great loneliness, great joy, great love, great blessing. Uttara ହେବ great joy. What does the word glee mean? Sadness, gloom, happiness, joy. Uttara ହେବ joy. Which of the following words mean merry, gay, jocund, bliss, glee? Uttara ହେବ jocund. A state of loneliness is called dash, pensive, vacant, solitude, pleasure. Uttara ହେବ solitude. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. Here, sprightly dance means dash, a religious dance, dance of angels, a heavenly dance, lively dance. Uttara ହେବ lively dance. Question number 36. What does the poet mean by a host when he says a host of golden daffodils? One who entertains, a guest, a large number, a merry company. Uttara ହେବ a large number. Who was or were wandering lonely? A cloud, the poet, the daffodils, the stars. Uttara ହେବ the poet. Whom does the poet compare himself with? The daffodils, the cloud, the stars, the lake. Uttara ହେବ the cloud. The poet has made two comparisons in the poem Daffodils. What are they? Himself with a cloud, daffodils with the stars. Happiness with the daffodils, stars with daffodils. Himself with the daffodils, daffodils with the stars. Himself with the stars, daffodils with the stars. Uttara ହେବ himself with a cloud, daffodils with the stars. I wander lonely as a cloud. This statement is an example of a dash, simile, metaphor, personification, hyperbole. Uttara ହେବ simile. I gazed and gazed suggests that the poet was enchanted. Whom does the poet personify in the poem Daffodils? The daffodils, the cloud, the stars, the lake and trees. Uttara ହେବ the daffodils. How does the poet personify the daffodils? By calling them a company, by saying they are fluttering and dancing, by referring to them as a host, by keeping them in his memory. Uttara ହେବ by saying they are fluttering and dancing. Which of the following is an X-aggregated phrase or statement? A host of golden daffodils, 10,000 saw I at a glance. The waves beside them dances. I wander lonely as a cloud. Uttara ହେବ 10,000 saw I at a glance. Question number 45. Which of the following means moving to and fro, dancing, sprightly, fluttering, tossing? Uttara ହେବ which of the following is opposite of vacant? Plaintive, pensive, gleeful, jocund. Uttara ହେବ pensive. What is the inward eye the poet mentions in the poem Daffodils? Inner eye, mind's eye, heart's eye, closed eyes. Uttara ହେବ mind's eye. How many times in the word dance repeated in this poem? 2, 3, 4, 5. Uttara ହେବ 4. What does the poet mean by little thought when he says, I gazed and gazed but little thought? He had thought a little. He had not thought. He had some thought. He had a small thought. Uttara ହେବ he had not thought. How did the daffodils surpass the waves? In their cheerfulness and brightness, in their sprightly dance, with their sign and number, in their beauty and joyfulness. Uttara ହେବ in their cheerfulness and brightness.